Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Authors and publishers, we are here with Face the Book TV, episode number 28 and episode 4 in our Book Publishing Basics series with me, Charlotte Pierce, and Scott Channel, who's in the middle there on the left. If you're watching, if you're listening, we will be putting a link to the live stream replay on our website, where this episode is housed, piercepress.com/episodes, or no, Pierce, what is it, Laura? piercepress.com/websites that sell books with hyphens. Yes. Yep. Okie dokie. Well, we are, this has been a really fun series, and I think we've hit 4 of the kind of really key elements of getting your book out to your audience. And websites is arguably one of the most important, or the most important. I think Laura, who's our website expert here, Laura Williams of Good Inklings, will probably say it's the most important one. I don't know if that's where I got that quote from you. But thanks for being here, y'all. Great.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I'm Charlotte Pierce, and my piercepress.com is my site, and Laura does my websites, so that's one of them that she does. I'm so happy with it, and I'm really, it's just a pleasure to work with you. I love, what you do and your responsiveness and your knowledge, technical knowledge of like WordPress and SEO and search engine optimization, if you don't know. And Scott Channel, how you doing, Scott?
Couldn't be better.
Ready to rock and roll?
Unleash
Scott,
us.
Unleash the Kraken. Scott is a successful business-to-business book publisher. Is that accurate?
Well, I do have 4 B2B books. That is
Yep.
certainly correct. Yeah.
Okay. And is an expert on sales and closing sales and so forth. And his website is scottchannel.com. 2 N's and 2 L's. So y'all are welcome to, there's Laura. Laura's little goodinklings.com, which is, if you hadn't grabbed that name, I would have stolen it, because it is such a good name. Good Inklings kind of has a little vintage feel, and but it's definitely cutting edge, the service that you do. So
Okay.
all right, let's get started on our topic. I'm not sure which, Scott did some of these visuals and points, and Laura did some, but obscurity is the disease, your author platform is the cure. I love that.
Great quote.
Yeah.
Did you find that one, Scott?
That's Laura's.
I did.
Oh, it's Laura's. Oh, great. Yeah. So who's Kimberly Grabas?
She's an author, and she also does a lot of YouTube shows on writing and marketing and things like that.
Yeah, I wanted to put her, I think you wanted me to highlight her thing in the show notes, which I shall do.
I think that's actually a different person.
Oh, it's a different person. Okay. But
pretty sure.
You want to talk a little bit about these 2 points you have here, the goal and amplifying your brand?
I do. I mean, anyone who's been in this business for a while knows the importance of a website. And to authors, to me, it's particularly important, and I'm sure y'all would agree with me, is that this is, if your book cover is as important as your website and vice versa, because that's what people are going to be attracted to you by. You don't know every time somebody goes to your website, because they may not do anything there. They may not sign up for your newsletter, and they may not buy your book. They may go to a different site to buy your book, or they may come back later. You don't always know. So your website is really important for that first impression to the reader, and also to other people that maybe are authors or publishers that are looking at you too, because they will.
So you're creating one of those 8 points of contact that Scott probably knows about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely vital that your website conveys. not just what you're selling. Of course, that's
Mhm.
important because your goal is always to sell books, but who you are. And I don't mean like me, who I am, like grandmother and mother and all that. I mean who you are that's relatable to the person that's looking for you.
Sure.
What
Yeah, like this one that the Ready Row USA is one of my sites for my podcast on rowing.
Mhm.
And that's an image. I mean, I just love the way you treated it, you know? And
Well, it needs to say that right up front. I mean, when you go to, first of all, the name, which you came up with, the
Mhm.
Ready Row USA, explains exactly what it is.
sure.
But so does the immediate images that you see. And that's
Yeah.
what it should be for any site.
Yeah.
The picture above that is a sample site that I did just to show authors what I can do.
Sure.
And so, I mean, I had to make up, it was a job. I had to make up the book covers and everything. but
I like that. The
when you look
sequel.
at it, yeah, when you
Yeah.
look at it, immediately you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know that it is about a book and that it's about an author site,
Yeah.
because you should have your name should be the name of your author site,
Mhm.
not the name of your book. And the reason for that is you can handle the books by creating landing pages for them separately
Mhm.
or as pages on your site.
Mhm.
But let's say, like me, I'm writing a book on that would be considered fantasy fiction. Well, what if I want to 2 years from now switch to historical romance? Well, if everything says I'm a fantasy fiction author, then I have to actually go get another URL, build another site, and go through all that.
Right.
With my site being my name, then it covers anything that I choose to do down the road. So it's really important for authors to think of.
So, yeah, I mean,
I don't.
I just had a quick question on the Ready Row USA. I mean, that image means a lot to me because it's actually a picture of a learn to row class at 5:30 in the morning on the dock where I row. But do you think that should be more evocative of rowing? Should I have an image in there that's more about the boat and the oars and stuff?
I in that particular issue, I don't think so. First of all, it's eye catching. A lot of the thing is when people look at the images and things on your site, it's a very quick impression that they get.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to feed that impression. So when they look at that image that you have right there, so that's the first thing they see on your website. They see Ready Row USA more than once.
Yeah.
They've got that, right?
Yeah.
And then they see the picture of whatever rower wants, to be out on the water and preparing for the day. So it gives them a good feeling.
That's good.
And that's what you want to do is get that emotion.
Well, and Scott, do you have anything else to add to these 2 points or?
Just at your image, I mean, to emphasize what Laura said about, hey, at a glance, you know exactly what the site is and the image reinforces your verbiage. The key is, like Laura says, at an instant, do they get what you do and you accomplish that objective?
Yeah.
And on the same note, which we'll probably discuss further on, but on the same note, your entire site should have a cohesive look to it. And the reason is because it's jarring to people. They're your brain when you see things that look very different. So it should be, you should decide what your brand is, you as an author, and what you're trying to convey, and have that cover go across your site seamlessly.
And I use that color scheme and sometimes that image on like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and too. So I feel like it's getting kind of a visual identity.
Right. And that's what you're going for. You want people to recognize who you are and what you do. But at the same time, you don't want to unless you're a real well-known author, it's not the best idea for the first thing they see to be you.
Got it.
Because they need to know about what you're writing about before they see you.
And so I'm just thinking about, if I'm just thinking about this as an author or publisher, what are the things that I should include in my site? Should I just build out, this fabulous, wonderful, multi-page site, or?
I don't think so. unless you have nothing else to do in your life. But if you would like to have a site that you can manage yourself or have somebody else manage and it not cost you a fortune, then you need just the information that you need. So you need your homepage, you need an about page that's about you, the author, and then you also need a book page. So buy the book, or if it's a book series, books, bookstore, however you want to word it, but a buy the book page. And then you also need a media page, which a lot of people forget about. And it's
like media for Media Kit or something, or
yes, that way anybody who wants to interview you, like for a show like this, they could just go on there and they could see what what questions they could ask and things.
Do you
like
have that on your site, Scott?
I do not.
Do you do speaking and stuff? Or?
I do. When people make an inquiry or when I do outbound work for that, I usually handle that personally. But a lot of people do that. I think it's a great idea that Laura says, you're always trying to make it easier for whoever you're trying to reach. So having a media page is one of those things that can make it easier for people you want to reach.
Well, sure. Because if you're an author and you're in discussions with publishers or agents and they say, do you have a website? You want everything that they want to know up front available, and then they can ask you more questions. So it's one of those things. Don't tell them everything on your website, but tell them enough to entice them to buy your book or contact you.
The target category of people that you might be looking.
And then I know Scott agrees. You cannot email capture. Any kind of email capture is so important. But then you have to follow up too once you have their emails to do something. So if you use your email capture to give away something, that's fine. They're doing that to get those pages or that book or those tips or whatever. That's cool. But if you're doing it for like a newsletter, then you have to start producing the newsletter. So I mean, you have to think about how you're doing it. The other thing is that buy the book buttons. There are so many ways to do buy the book buttons, and they should be everywhere on your site. And I don't mean like big, huge buttons. There's a little button here that says buy the book. There's hyperlink in a text that says buy the book. They can click on your book and buy the book. I mean, everything that you could think of that gives them some type of action to where they can get to buying your book.
And by social tool, you mean just engaging people.
Exactly. Your website should not be a static. It should not be thrown up on the internet and considered a business card. It is something that you use. It's your tool. It's something that you have that's the best advertisement for you, that you share with people and you send people to. I mean, it's really, really important. And some people, they get, I don't think timid's the right word, but they're intimidated by using their website. So going back to, it's as important as your cover. If you want a website that you feel really great about using, then you shouldn't build it yourself at 2:00 in the morning on a Friday night.
Yeah, I gave that up a long time ago. That's why I call you at 2 a.m.
You'll get the value out of it by either taking the time to seriously learn how to do it, which takes a lot of time, or hiring somebody to do the parts that you're uncomfortable with. Maybe you're great with design, but you're uncomfortable with the copy, or you're
the stupid CSS,
right? With the SEO or anything like that. Then have people do those things for you.
And Scott, I think we're going to look at your site next. It's yours on top of that, slide 7. But do you have some must-haves besides what Laura has mentioned?
Yeah, if you move on to the next slide, I just gave us a peek of. So I'm just speaking from a business owner, and particularly who many years ago was, very much solo, without the resources to do this stuff. But as Laura said, your website is your hub, okay? And you have to have it. And if you're a business owner, you can't get overwhelmed by this stuff. One of the things that I feel bad for authors who have great stuff to sell and great stories to tell, or they may offer great services. And as Laura mentioned, sometimes the details of creating a website is like asking people to fly to the moon. Okay. And they do nothing. And so rather than just kind of focus on the basics and get something up and cranking, they just freeze like a deer in their headlights. So I'm
And they
speaking
go
as
to
a business
Facebook and then
owner.
they put up a Facebook page and say, that's my website.
Yeah, I'm going to do social, which means nothing. Okay, and gets them nowhere. All right. So in my sense is, first of all, you're an author, reach your readers. So obviously, if you have a book, it's a great idea to have a link within your book so people can come to your site. As Laura mentioned, you have an opt-in page. They get onto your list, and you're going to determine how you interact with them, okay, in some sort of planned meeting. The other way to reach your readers, which I think is great, is to meet people where they are. So if you have a book on a particular genre or a cause you're supporting or a business, people are looking for that stuff a good deal of the time on Amazon. And if you use Amazon ads, if you don't know what to do, you can spend $50 a month on Amazon ads and then have your book cover right next to some of the best books in your genre.
Well, I think that's our next series will be, next level books marketing, because that is something I need to do. I know you're right. And I just need to dive in and do it.
I'd like to reemphasize a point that Laura made about the importance of the book cover. Because if we're talking about selling books and getting people's attention, the cover matters more than what's on the pages. Okay. And if you've been doing it a while, you know the truth of that statement. And your website is similar to that because it's how you're going to interact with people. I really think that people should do the basics first. So Laura gave a great summary of just the basic pages that you need to start. Focus only on that. And it also, I love the example about the 20 ways to do a button. Okay. Because, as somebody who's starting out, you need a website. You got to focus on the big picture. And you have someone like Laura who knows which way to post a button. And
I literally just did this to her this morning, was it, or yesterday?
Yesterday.
I said, I want my email capture to jump out more. I want it, like it's just buried. And so like within, 3 or 4 hours, she had it there. It's a nice little floater. You can X out of it if you want, or you can fill it out very easily. And it works great. I'm just like, it would have taken me 5 weeks to figure out how to.
And the important thing is that you don't let stupid little things like that thwart your progress. Okay. You worry about get the basics solid and then have a resource. I do think that even though you're not going to be building your website or rebuilding it, but your website should be easy enough so you can go in and make a little tweak, add a little copy, very basic things you should not have to reach out and pay people for.
Right. You need to learn that.
The other thing I'd mention too, if you're a newbie to this and it's your first website, expect to hate it in about 6 or 12 months and do it over again. Because you learn it, you learn by doing it. And particularly when you start interacting with your readers, your mind is going to get opened up to more things than you can do.
Right.
And with that new knowledge, you're going to want to do it. So I believe in keeping it lean, keeping things on the low expense side initially, because if you're doing it right, you're going to want to redo it.
Can I ask both of you to answer this? What is the importance of is a blog important, or does it depend on the type of publishing?
It depends on if you keep up with it or not.
Yeah.
That's what it depends on.
You don't want to have your last one be from 2019 and it's
you may as well just take it down and then put it up later when you have more content. But
I got it. Yeah. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, well, absolutely, Laura. You have to be consistent. And if you're going to have a website, you're doing that to only connect with your audience, but interact with them. So you need to give them the stuff that they want to read about or keeps them coming back to hear about it. And so your blog is the means by which you're going to do that.
Right.
And then you can
not just your stuff either.
Yeah.
You use it to build your authority and to
Mhm.
attract influencers and whatever you do. So don't
Well, I think
hesitate to
those-
use somebody else's.
I take those URLs like piercepress.com/websites that sell books, and I'll put that on Twitter. It brings in the featured image, and there's a nice little thing I can put a little 2-sentence description. And, you know, I mean, I need to figure out if that actually does drive traffic, but it's, you know, that's another issue. But we'll do that in our next level publishing.
I want to say one more thing while we're on creating your own site. If
Yeah.
you're going to build your own site, or if there's a small thing that needs to be done on your site and you don't want to spend the money and have somebody else do it, the best resource when I teach classes on website or anything, I tell people is YouTube. Just ask YouTube your question. You don't even have to think about if they're going to find it or not. Ask them, how do I put a button on a WordPress site?
It's amazingly detailed.
Now, the other thing,
granular,
caveat is to make sure that you change the setting to where it's only showing you things in the past year.
Yes,
You don't want anything older than a year, because that's how fast the industry changes. That's why I have to be on YouTube watching things all the time.
Yeah, no, I think better than you than me. I actually, like, I have a mental block about watching YouTube, but I need to get over it. I know, that's fine. What about what do you mean by upgrade? Is that you, Scott?
You're gonna upgrade. You know, you start with the basics, and then if you're doing it right, at some point you're gonna add. So maybe if we could move to the next slide, Charlotte. I think Laura and I think alike. So there's a few points on this page I'd like to get her 2 cents on. But as a business owner, in wanting to see people do it with and get what they want, I think it's important to pick models. So go to authors in your genre who are somewhat successful and look at their websites, or go to authors who've written books that you like in general. Okay, go to their websites and pick the things that you like or don't like and take snippets of them. Okay, and then what you do is you should create a wireframe. Not that you're going to design your site, but you should say, well, I like this piece, I like that, I'm kind of thinking of this. And
so just like a storyboard or something,
yeah,
like
a storyboard, a layout. Now they call it wireframes. So you can go to someone like Laura and say, hey, I've looked around, I'm kind of thinking these directions. Can you guide me? Okay. And then I would even recommend, if you want to save yourself some money, and since you are a writer, if you can, not that you're going to copy anything, but you don't need a ton of copy for a starter website, but look at what other people have done and use it for inspiration.
Yeah,
don't create your own initial draft of copy. Then you give it to someone like Laura who does it. And I think also for me, I believe in function over design. All right. So the idea is, hey, your site, obviously you want it to look good and represent your brand right, but it's got to function and achieve its business.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, I think you both agree on that.
Where you say, did people forget that people need to know where to go and what you offer and things like that? So it's got to function first, then that should be your primary thing.
And it's cropped on your page on the top here on this slide, but I noticed you have a very minimal menu.
And I'm always trying to shrink it, frankly.
Yeah.
In fact, I just reduced a couple of buttons.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Give people less choices.
Especially since the advent of mobile. I mean, it's not. It doesn't behoove you to have 1,000 pages that you can cover. And
do you optimize for mobile, Scott?
And then I'm just going to make 2 more points, and then I'll let you guys take it over. The other thing I think is really important, particularly in the beginning, is that you should build your site with common technology, because if it's common technology, there's going to be more YouTube videos on how to use it. All right, you're going to find more people who can help you, easier access, and and I see people do sites and they use this obscure crap. But the quote, someone told them it's better, and now
how do you really feel about it?
Get help. They're lost. And the other thing I'd say is you want to find someone like Laura, so that, when you have questions, go back to her button example, you got someone you can reach out, you get a quick answer, you keep on going. You need a resource you trust, because you do not want to get hung up on really simple stuff that people who know what they're doing can handle in a moment, that you'd otherwise get stuck.
And I kind of condensed this, but you said, the content plan, a copy. Are you talking about planning ahead, or?
Well, I just reemphasize, Laura, the idea you're not only, you need to interact with your audience, and your content plan is your plan for a blog post, or the content that you're going to add over a period of time, might be in your emails that you're going to reach out to your audience with, meaning you don't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, I think I'll do this today. You've got to have a plan over time as to what you want to offer your audience that you think that they would help. And then you implement that, whether it be week to week or month.
I mean, it just, and with most things in life, planning ahead is a good thing. So, if you can, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. But another thing, when you're looking at the content on your website, think about how many ways you can use everything that you have. So you have your author bio. You don't have to rewrite that every time somebody asks for your author bio. Keep a text file of what's on your website and use that.
Oh, good point.
The pictures or anything that's on there, you can use somewhere else, and vice versa. Yeah. So you don't want to constantly be creating content that you already have, because that frees you up to create the content that you need. So if you're going to do, let's say, blog posts, there's several ways you could do blog posts. I think sometimes it's easier if you're doing fiction to come up with blog posts, but you just think about simple things you can do. I have a client who has a website about healthy living. So he sends me his workout for the day. So that's his piece of content for that day. He also wants to write a book. So he sends me, a few paragraphs or a chapter at a time, and there's more content. You can use the content all the way through. You can use pieces of your book. You can use your ideas. Charlotte has a good example of a friend of hers that writes book on, it's ancient Rome, right?
Rome and Greece,
Yes, Rome and Greece. And she says, okay, what kind of makeup did Cleopatra wear? You can come up with ideas.
It's great. It just totally captivated me.
Just be creative. And I mean, Scott, he can answer anything about sales and things like that. So his content is about that. It teaches you something.
Sure. Yeah. And just don't ignore those. Like you were told me yesterday, Laura, repost your blog, my podcasts, and because they just don't go out of date that quickly, like especially about rowing, maybe about websites, but So elements, we've covered a few of these things.
We've covered this really, Laura, covered these actions, and the only other thing I might add to this is particularly if this is your first site, worry only about doing the basics. When I hear someone talk about who doesn't have a website, oh, I want to do courses and I want to do webinars and I'm like, whoa.
Idea.
Get your essentials in place first, get it functional.
Yeah, I think that's been your point throughout this whole series. Sorry.
It's great to think ahead, but everything's built on a strong foundation. Well, this is your foundation. Worry about that first, then build on it. When you're capable.
And that's been your mantra throughout all 4 episodes of this Book Publishing Basics. You said, just
exactly. And
simplify.
Your website shouldn't wait until the very end of right before you publish your book. You should do it way beforehand. One, because it's a tool. But also you can if there's any problems and kinks, you can work them out before you get down to the launch date and something.
Yeah. Good.
And it's part of building an author platform, which you talked about in episode 2 of this series. So that's, otherwise you're just kind of throwing it out there on Facebook and
use a good post.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Thank you for saying that. Anyone who uses cheap hosting deserves all that they get.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
That's real right there.
Yeah, we won't
Insane.
trash any
Yeah.
companies, but there are a couple of very popular ones that should not be used.
Insane.
Yeah.
I tell my clients, Charlotte knows, I tell my clients to use SiteGround because
SiteGround.
I
first
use
of all,
SiteGround.
yeah,
Oh,
the
you
service
do?
is excellent. The speeds are excellent. When I switched my clients over from another provider
Yeah.
to SiteGround, they went down from anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't be happier.
Well, I think, and one thing you told me early on when I started working with you was, you know, you said your website is so slow, people are going to leave before the pages are drawn.
Yeah.
And it's true. You've speeded it up. It's got to be less than a second, you know. Just,
Especially because mobile slows it down further.
yeah.
People don't realize that.
Uh-huh.
So it has to be, if it's slow on a desktop, it's going to be like sludge on a mobile.
Right. We are 3 minutes over our projected time. However, I'm willing to go a little bit longer. And these points, this outline will be on the show notes at piercepress.com/websites that sell books.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm going to add a link there. I told Charlotte I would, and I haven't done it yet. But and what the link is to is how to build a media kit, because I think it's a very good, simple way to start thinking about it, and I really think that's important.
And I need that media kit about once or twice a week. It's just, you know, so nice to have it. But Scott, your final thoughts here, or I guess these are final thoughts.
Just, you know, execute on the basics well, build a strong foundation, don't overcomplicate things. And if you find, you know, if you've been thinking about a website for more than a couple of months and still don't know what to do, just admit you don't know what to do. Find a good resource and let them guide you through it. Okay.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy and you're going to cost yourself a lot of opportunity.
Now, do you advise not using something like Squarespace or one of those WebEx or Wiki?
Laura knows more, but could I give you my 2 cents and then I'll
Yes.
shut up? I would just say that I'm not a fan of things that are not flexible. Okay, so you know, you should be able to add, you know, you learn and you want it to grow. I don't know as much as Laura, but I know some things, they're quick and easy and cheap, but you can't grow with them. So I'll shut up. Okay.
No, I think she might agree with you.
You're exactly right. And the other thing is that make sure that you have your own URL, that somebody else doesn't own it, that your web designer doesn't own it, that nobody else owns that URL but you.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is I don't even know how many times now I have worked on websites with people where they had to get new URLs because the web designer or their boyfriend or their whoever dipped out and just won't bother giving them information. Right. Or in some cases, they've completely lost the information.
I found that with an author that had that happen, you know, and she says, and it delayed our book production for, you know, a year and a half because she couldn't get, you know, so
it can become a serious, especially if it's like your name or something, it become quite a serious problem.
Because someone was trying to save $10. It's just, you know, this is the kind of stupid stuff that
they got bored with it.
Unnecessary.
No, it's absolutely imperative that you do that. And then also to hosting. I'm pulling somebody out of the fire right now with the hosting. They hosted with their web designer. Don't do that. Don't do that. A lot of web designers will be screaming at me because, well, I don't do that to my customers. Well, you know, I would never tell a customer to.
No, you don't have mine, and you told me not. You know, you never told me to go with you. You know, have you do it. So yeah, same with the ISBN and stuff. Well, listen, guys, this is so helpful for me. It's like, you know, I think I hear this stuff a lot. I've been publishing for a while, but it's like going to church. You know, you need to hear it over and over again.
It is because one person can say the same thing 10 different ways, but if you hear 10 people saying the same thing, you're going to understand it.
Yeah, so it's sort of like you know, coaching for rowing. You know, you just you need to hear it 300 times usually. Scott, we're going to package this up and blast it out. These are the
Great.
4 episodes we
thanks
have
for
on
the
our
meeting.
book publishing basics, and they're great. I think all 4 of them are just great, and we might do then a next level. A second. What do you call it? A higher level?
Tier.
Huh?
Tier.
Higher tier. Yeah. So more specifics in some of these things that we talked about that are real, challenging for people. We've got a lot of other episodes coming up. We're going to be, the IPNE is one of our collaborators on this series, and we will be going live from some of the book events that IPNE, Independent Publishers of New England, is going to be doing cooperative book exhibits on at Boston Book Festival. Oh God, these names are so long. Boston, in New England Independent Booksellers, and New England Library Association. They're just, the kind of the big 3 that we go to, but we'll be at some others. We'll be at Woodstock or Bookstock this weekend in Vermont. Yeah. Not Woodstock. Hey, babe, don't eat the blue books. This is the new book that Laura has been doing, putting the cover on my website, and I just love this. I love the cover so much.
They did a great job.
Yeah. You can connect with us on social media. I know Scott will jump right on that. Scott is kind of a reluctant social media. He's on LinkedIn though, aren't you? Yeah. We have Face the Book TV. Just use that hashtag and we'll find you and give you some good stuff. We're a member of IPNE, and there's a great arsenal of resources in that organization, as well as our national organization, Independent Book Publishers Association. And that's about it, y'all. We'll be back.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
being
so much.
here.
Yep.
One website at a time. Bye.
Bye.